And our guest of the week, yeah, you've met him before. It's Mr. Rick Limpert.
And you still brought me back, huh?
We keep bringing you back. That either means Chuck is running out of friends or you're fascinating.
Chuck's
Or
running
you're
out
just
of friends.
scraping the bottom of the barrel.
No. We got a big barrel. So thank you for joining us today. What an awesome weekend.
It was a fantastic weekend.
Did you order some food for Miller's tonight?
I did not, no.
How about yourself, Rick?
Not yet. I'll see what the evening holds here.
There you go. Rick's like on the 2020 COVID bus where we've got more players over here just in case you need to.
Well, I've been watching what I eat for the last few years. So, but the food here actually is really good, and they have a lot of healthy options.
They really do.
So
they
I
really
enjoy
do.
that.
I'm going with my standard today. What are you eating, Larry?
I'm having chicken wings and calamari.
Calamari.
What a combo
That's
that is.
interesting.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of that combo.
I'm from Iowa, but I like to vacation in Florida. Well, we appreciate you joining the show. That was our that was our Miller's commercial. That's as good as it gets. I'm eating some chicken, but I am coming here before the game Saturday to try the
What time?
the brunch.
What time will you be here?
I do not know. It all depends on if I can convince my wife to join me. If I can convince her to join me, not long before the game. If she decides she's not going to join me, I might be here by 11 in the morning. I don't know.
You might open the place.
I
huh?
could. It's
Have you
very
ever
possible.
have you ever opened a place and then closed the place the same night?
I think I'm supposed to plead the fifth on
No,
that.
it's all right.
Many
The
times.
statute of
Many
limitations
times.
is passed.
I got a buddy, shout out to Vog Dog. I know he's watching out in North Carolina right now, but I got a buddy, and we used to watch March Madness.
Oh, yeah.
We would take off Thursday and Friday, so we've got 4 straight days. We've got no kids, no women, no priorities, and yes, we would get to the bar at opening time, close it down. And a couple times we were actually there at opening time on Friday morning. A few times we had to sleep in a little bit past that.
Now, the real professionals are the ones the bars that open for European soccer at like 7 in the morning. And then they stay all day for American football after that. That's a full day.
I got a buddy who lives out in San Francisco area, and he always told me, he's like, you got to move out here. He's like, it's great. You wake up and NFL football is on your TV by 10 in the morning. You've already watched pregame starting at 7, and then
the London game started at 6:30 in the morning.
yeah, exactly. Just crazy. He's like, you're done with football by 4 o'clock. You can still do whatever the wife wants. How about that? So baseball, you bet. I know one of Adam's favorite subjects.
I love baseball. Baseball is absolutely my favorite sport.
I know. Okay, he can stop talking now.
Next to cricket.
Just go ahead and kill that mic.
Okay.
How's your playoff bracket look, Rick? Did you fill one out before the season started?
For baseball?
Yeah. No.
I mean, you have a few teams that maybe the season is so long.
It's so long.
And you maybe have a few teams and players you focus on throughout the year. And, the Braves, I thought were going to have a good year, and maybe they overshot that even. So,
yeah, absolutely.
But come playoffs, as we're seeing with some of these early games, managers matter in the playoffs.
So huge, huge.
Texas has got a guy who's an all-timer in Bruce Bochy, who's all he does is win in the playoffs, and he's doing it again to a superior team. So, and the Braves are lucky to have Snitker, and Dusty Baker's a good man. I mean, you have the managers come shine in the playoffs.
Absolutely. And if I had to, when I was asked the question before the season started, I was going to say Dusty and Snit.
Yeah.
And I decided not to give Dusty the nod just because I'm tired of the Astros showing up to the greatest game in the world. But I went the Mariners, which they did come back, and I only missed the playoffs by one game.
Self-destructed at the end. So.
Well, but they really self-destructed that first 6 weeks of the year. Their first 6 weeks, it's a miracle they even got close. But
so I know Dusty Baker a little bit.
Of course you do.
And he is one of the most fascinating people in sports that you will ever meet. He's very cerebral.
Mm-hmm.
He's a former Brave.
Absolutely.
We all know him from his playing career. But as far as a guy that's on the straight and narrow, a baseball guy who believes in the traditions of baseball. What Dusty is, he owns a business that recycles all sorts of things, everything from water to energy to natural resources. He's got a fascinating outlook on things.
Now, who did Dusty replace for the Astros?
The guy that cheated.
Correct.
Who's now with Detroit.
Correct. But
So-
but you know what a perfect opportunity. You know, I mean, Dusty's had his opportunities, fell a little short each time, and then you get the nod. Hey, you want to take over the team?
That manager claimed he really didn't know what was going on, though.
Which you know, at the end of the day, I guess this kind of goes back to Big Ten football. If you don't know what's going on, isn't that your fault too?
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
under your
Yes,
watch.
it is.
You know, at
It
some
is.
point in time, I remember the first president I ever heard of first president of the United States say, "Well, it's my problem." You know, well, clearly that problem started 6 years ago, right? But I'm the president of the United States. Everything is my problem, and you know,
Who was that? Theodore Roosevelt? The buck stops here?
no. Teddy just talk softly and carry
Carry
a big stick.
He did.
Yeah.
That's the greatest. I actually read something one time where he supposedly that comment leaked into all of the rooms where all of his counterparts were. So they heard that before they got to have their meeting with him. They knew he was going to talk soft and there's going to be a big stick. Supposedly it was pretty intimidating for all of them.
I don't get political, but we could use a Teddy Roosevelt right now, couldn't we?
Teddy's a man. Teddy's a man
Yes.
about man.
Yes.
Although you know, when you read about the Rough Riders, it's kind of funny. It's like so he wasn't in the service. No, not at all. And that wasn't a real form of military. No, not at all. And how did this? You know, just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Man did what he wanted to do. How he wanted to do
Gathered a bunch of his tough friends, and they took matters into their own hands.
it. Who wants to go to San Juan Hill and kick some butt? Me, sir. So yeah, I got the Braves still. How
Yeah.
about you going Atlanta?
I thought the Braves and the Orioles maybe a month ago or so. I kind of maybe zeroed in on that, but the Orioles are a little unproven. We'll see what happens.
Very unproven. Not a soul on that team who's been in any of these positions.
Texas has impressed me. I love the manager, and like I said, Dusty, and you know, you never know.
No, and the Rangers have some good talent. They've never done it for a Texas team,
Right.
but they do have some talent that is.
And the Dodgers have a lot of talent. And the Braves, if there's one team that could knock the Braves out, it's the Phillies.
the Phillies have tons of talent, and
They
you
have
know,
Bryce Harper.
and
Yeah.
they've got, I believe, a higher payroll still than the Atlanta Braves. So
I don't know.
you know, they're the fourth highest payroll. So you know, it's one of those things. When they made it to this World Series, everybody last year was, "Wow, this is incredible! Who saw this one coming?" Well, they did when they paid the fourth most for all their players. You know, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with my Bravos, and I'm leaning Dusty's way though. I think that's going to be a tough one. If this series holds up, you know, the Rays will be out before this show's over.
Yes.
It's looking
That's what it looks like.
Crazy.
I will also go with the Braves.
That's good.
And we're not homers here. I mean, I don't have a.
I don't know anything about baseball, so if he says the Braves, I'm going with the Braves.
Don't be like that. Be your
Yeah,
own. Be
I
your
don't.
own man.
I don't know anything about baseball.
I follow him when it comes to racing.
Yeah.
If he's picking the Moroccan Grand Prix, I'm backing ATI on that one.
There is no
Yes, 'cause-
Moroccan Grand Prix, but if there
How
was,
do you know? The streets
it'd
of
be
Rabat
match-
are very beautiful.
The city of Atlanta had a head football coach that was really into racing. If you know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
The Atlanta Falcons former coach.
Yes.
Glanville?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you call that racing.
wackadoodle. What a wackadoodle. And even I had this conversation with somebody who was not from the Atlanta area at that time, and we were talking about how bad the Falcons are. And I said, well, the current coach I love because, you know, he doesn't leave tickets at every game for Elvis. Are you freaking kidding me?
Used to leave him at the
Hey.
NASCAR races, I think, too.
He left them everywhere. Anywhere Elvis wants to show up, I'll be there.
Hey, but if Elvis had come, he wouldn't look like an idiot.
But he didn't, and he does.
This is true. This is true.
Just throw that out there. Well, let's go ahead and get our first commercial in, and then we'll spend the rest of the hour talking about football.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Alvin Jameson here, the mortgage guy. Are you looking to get pre-approved for a home loan? Or maybe you want to build a house from the ground up? Are you curious, or better yet, is your significant other on your back about making renovations in your current home? Call me. I have options for you. All self-employed individuals. Are you torn between writing off all your income or having to show your income to qualify for a house? I have a third alternative for you. Whether you're a W-2 employee, self-employed individual looking to do a purchase or pull money out of your current house, or better yet, we can't forget the investors out there. If you have that high interest rate, hard money loan and looking to refinance out of it, again, give me a call. I have options. Below are the states that I'm personally licensed in. Call me, 404-587-9033. Again, 404-587-9033. Visit the website, alvinjameson.com.
And thank you, Alvin Jameson. So football, you bet. The ups and downs of Colorado is what Chuck wrote down. You know, when they started that very first game against the team, albeit the team that got it handed to them in the national championship game of TCU, and I knew TCU lost a lot of players and all that other stuff, but I really expected TCU to take Colorado behind the woodshed. I called for it for 5 straight months, and it did not happen. And so, although it is the life and times of Colorado, I'm still impressed.
I don't know that this is going to be a controversial take. I don't know that Colorado is really all that good. I think USC's defense is just that bad.
Correct.
I mean, we saw last year against Utah. They were terrible. And I mean, Lincoln Riley has a history of terrible defenses, even at Oklahoma. So I mean, you know, Colorado's offense is good. You know, Shiloh Sanders and Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter and Xavier Weaver, and I mean they're fantastic players. But
now, their guy, who's the two-way star?
Travis Hunter.
He was going to be out for at least 3 games, which
Yes.
would keep him out at least this coming week
Yes.
as well, correct? Is he looking like he might be coming back soon?
I haven't heard anything. I know he wanted to play this week against USC, and Dion told him no, which is the correct thing to do from Dion.
Absolutely.
But, you know, I would bet that he'll probably be back either this week or next week. You know, a lacerated liver is certainly not something you come back from easily.
It sounds interesting to me. How about you, Rick?
I don't want one. I mean,
Check, please.
I mean, I'll do everything I can to keep my liver going okay.
And if your coach tells you to wait out another week, you're good with that?
Yeah. But I like we're talking about the ups and downs of Colorado, because the fact that Colorado's having ups this year after going 1-11 last year
They won 3 games to start the year. Is incredible.
It's amazing. And what Dion is a genius. What he's doing.
He's polarizing.
And it's noticed this week, after 5 weeks of them flapping their mouth, it's kind of radio silence out of Colorado this week, which means they're recharging. And
They're going to Arizona State. They're probably feeling a little cocky.
well, maybe is Herman Edwards still at Arizona State? But Dion is setting himself up for next year already, and
No
recruiting,
doubt.
and he's saying all the right things. They're on social media and whatever other platform. They're doing all the right things, and they're not going to win the Pac-12 this year.
Nope.
And you know, what are they going to be in the Big 12 next year? And
Yes.
he's setting himself up for being a very, very dangerous team.
I read last week that a few pundits have already labeled Colorado the team to beat next year in the Big 12.
It's wide going to be wide open.
Because, you know, obviously Texas and Oklahoma are
gone.
leaving.
It's wide open.
So
who's? I mean, you got Arizona and Arizona State joining, but other than that, there's not really.
Texas Tech and TCU.
With Texas and Oklahoma gone, there's not really another team that's going to contend with them.
No, there's not. But it's such a wild thing, and for those who haven't listened to Rick on some of our other podcasts, he's kind of an NIL guru, and what I see is a horrible team that a very polarizing guy just made
relevant.
Very relevant right off the bat. So now imagine this. Imagine it's not a 1-11 Colorado. We always make fun of, nobody wants to follow Saban in Alabama. And, that's suicide.
Does
Deion care?
No. What parent of a top high school prospect in Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas is not going to have Deion Sanders come into their house and listen to every word he says?
And Deion is a very humble, I believe,
very humble.
He's very brash, but he's
in his own way.
But in his own unique way, he comes across as very humble. He's a God-fearing man. So when he comes to sit in your living room and he says, "Oh, no, ma'am, I don't look at
He loved the moms. Love the grandmom. Have you seen the video of the grandma dancing with Deion?
On game day.
Yes, it's amazing. She's wearing the Colorado outfit and she's dancing with Deion, and he's loving it. Grandmas love Deion. Moms love Deion. I'm serious. You're laughing.
No.
You're right. You're right.
And what dad?
I used to think I was alone.
What dad wasn't following college football when Deion was at Florida State and his house with the Falcons? He is relevant.
And then his move from the Falcons to the Niners
to the Cowboys,
and then you've basically and for those who weren't following the NFL that closely in the early '90s, it was almost a lock. You had these two great teams, and who was going to sign Deion to win the Super Bowl this year? Is he going to be a Cowboy or is he going to be a Niner? Because whoever wins is probably going to win the damn thing.
And he ran a touchdown back and hit a home run in a Major League Baseball playoff game in the same day.
Taking a helicopter back and forth, leading the world in triples, even though he only played for 2 months of the season. The guy's incredible.
At anything he does, he's been successful at. So I'm not betting against Deion.
No. I did though.
Don't bet against him.
No, I'm done betting against him. He's in the category with Saban at this point. But 5 months ago, I'm thinking you might go to Jackson State and you might pull some stuff where there's really not a lot of talent at the historically black college or university level. And if you can grab a great player from Tulane or Indiana and bring them to that level, all of a sudden you're looking really good. But he went to the big boy level and he's doing it.
Here's a quick story. I was in Middle Georgia 2 weeks ago. There was a delivery truck delivering a washer and dryer to where I was parked, next to where I was parked. This is Middle Georgia on a Saturday afternoon. The Georgia pregame show is on. Georgia Tech is playing, and all the Florida schools are playing. These two delivery guys, and this is Middle Georgia, on a Saturday afternoon, are delivering washer and dryer to this house. What game do you think they're listening to?
The Colorado game.
Yep, this is out in the middle of Georgia, nowhere. And these guys are listening to the Colorado game, delivering a washer and dryer. So that shows you how relevant Colorado is.
It is. And, at this point in time, no matter where you are, whether you're a Purdue fan, which there's not many of those, and or you're from here, you're from there, you just need Deion. And, you might be anti-Deion. Oh, I don't like this and I hate this. But you like to win and celebrate on Saturdays, right? Well, here's your ticket.
Deion's he has a lot of fans, I think, Deion, no matter what. But he's picked up a lot more fans and a lot more respect, I think.
You look at that sideline with all of the former NFL players. It's one thing to see Terrell Owens. They were teammates. There's a San Francisco tie there. Ray Lewis, outside of killing people in Atlanta, he never left.
Allegedly.
I was there that night. Yes, he didn't leave the car. He didn't leave the car, but we used to implicate mob bosses for calling hits. But the guy's from Miami. Deion's Florida State. That's not a good connection. He played his entire career in Baltimore. Pop that game on. Ray's walking around like he's a 4-year-old, waving banners and stuff. I've never seen Ray Lewis look that happy.
Didn't he have? He had Da Baby give the pregame speech last week.
Da Baby.
I forgot. I couldn't remember whether it was I thought Lil Wayne was there like 2 weeks ago. He's got all kinds of people there.
I think it's amazing, and I can't wait to keep watching. Now, Chuck wrote down this next thing, and then as funny as I look at it, and I think, oh, well, that's just Chuck and how he writes things.
No, I think he's.
You said it. You looked at it, and you were like,
how is
Georgia
Georgia
still number
how?
one?
I mean, yeah.
Would you like to answer this question for ATI?
Well, they're the defending champs. They haven't lost in almost 2 years, and I don't care about the rankings until November anyway.
But they look terrible.
Doesn't matter.
They
The rankings do
look-
not matter until the second week in November.
That's fine, but they look
until
terrible.
until the committee meets, they're not gonna knock them off until
These
they lose.
these rankings
I
are not
know.
worth the napkins
No,
that they're written on.
I understand that part, but they've looked bad for what, a game and a half in SEC play.
Absolutely.
Like
And
they look bad the entire Auburn game. They look bad the first half of the South Carolina game. They didn't look good in any of their cupcake games.
Do you see the look at halftime? Do you see the look on Kirby Smart's face? He's not worried.
He's not.
These games, he knows that they're going to somehow pull these games out. They don't matter at this point, and he's laying in the weeds. And what happens come the last few weeks of the year? Georgia starts turning it on.
At some point, you're going to run out of luck.
They might. It
They
happens.
could, but so ATI, if not Georgia right now, who would be number one in the ATI?
Don't
the
say it. Don't say it.
API, the ATI.
Don't
poll.
say it.
Don't say what. What do you
not-
think I'm going to say? No, I want to know what
No,
you
no,
think
no,
I'm
no,
going to
no.
say.
We both know what you're going to say. Say it, and then we can both yell at you simultaneously.
Oregon.
That's not what I thought.
Yeah,
and you're, and you're better than that.
He was getting ready to say Michigan. We both thought that.
No. Michigan didn't look good against East Carolina.
All you got to know. All you got to know about Oregon is who their quarterback is.
Oregon has blown everybody out this year.
And
they've blown everybody out.
And that
They
quarterback
made
will blow it in any big game.
They made Colorado look like a bunch of fools.
But they're not the only team to do that now.
No, they're not. Well, they didn't. Colorado looked okay against USC until USC's defense, mainly because USC's defense sucks. But Oregon has been fantastic this year.
So you look at the current AP poll.
I know they're number 8. I'm aware they're number 8.
No, I understand, but I'm just looking at it from next year's perspective. If we say
From next year's perspective.
the Big Ten. If you look at Big Ten teams from next year, you have the 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Well, look at the Pac-12 and how many teams they have, and they're
the
not even
7,
going to
8
have a conference next year.
They have the 7, 8, and 9. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. The 7, 8, and 9 are all going to the Big Ten. That's big news. That's a getting better from top to bottom. But you can't have anybody ahead of Georgia right now because, as Rick said, you're the 2-time champ. You're still
Someone's got
undefeated.
to knock you off the throne.
Or there has to be more parity in the national championship games. But, as you've heard on the show with me and my rantings, all that wins is the SEC. Occasionally, we'll get one team from here or one team from there. There's no way you can leapfrog the best of the best to...
Yes, whatever team comes out of the SEC championship, if they're undefeated, they're so battle tested that no matter no matter who they go up against, as long as they're healthy, they're going
And tell me this.
someone's got to beat them. They're not going to beat themselves.
Just out of curiosity, a question for the two of you gentlemen. Yeah. If the Pac, the Big 12, the Big 10, and the ACC all have an undefeated champion, and the SEC, everybody's lost one game, and you have an SEC champion, is that SEC champion still in the back of your mind better than everybody else at this point?
It depends on who you lost to.
It depends on
Like
the
if-
team.
No, I'm just looking at the almanac over the last 20 years. Why wouldn't it be? There's Dion.
There's Dion.
He's everywhere.
Go Prime.
No, if Georgia goes out and they lose to Tennessee, and that's their one loss,
They're not going to lose to Tennessee.
They're not going to lose to Tennessee because Joe Milton's not a great quarterback.
Okay.
But in the event that they did, that would, and you have an undefeated Florida State,
Undefeated
or Miami,
everybody. Everybody else is undefeated.
undefeated Michigan or Ohio State,
If they're undefeated, they're ahead
Oregon or Washington.
But
Undefeated
in the back of
Texas,
your mind, do you think they're better?
Georgia?
I mean,
No.
if Georgia lost to South Carolina State
Oh my gosh!
and then swept the SEC and is a one-loss SEC team,
You lost to South Carolina State.
if you lost to South Carolina,
I'm not asking you who gets in. The way you just said that was like you were determining whether they should get in or out. I'm just saying, Aren't they better? Don't you know that already?
But their strength of
no, forget
schedule
it.
is so poor.
I'm not asking you that. I'm saying in the back of your mind, from watching football from age 7 to currently right now, don't you know a one-loss SEC team is better
No.
Not,
Okay.
not
That's
necessarily anymore.
anymore? As if something
No.
has changed recently.
No,
Well,
especially not.
there's some teams now that Michigan has stepped it up
Michigan
from where
has,
they were
but-
5 years ago.
But Michigan, once they've been out on that, what were the 2 scores of those 2 games? What did TCU do to Michigan? What did Georgia do to Michigan? Somewhere in the back of my mind, I have to remember that game. And so even though they lost to South Carolina State, I'm like, yeah, but it's, I've seen this game.
Robert, to get where you want to be, we've got to have more SEC teams in the top 10. Right now, Georgia's the only SEC team in the
It
top
is.
10. And if that happens, if Georgia loses, they're going to be out of it.
Yeah.
But
Because
Oh, no.
Yeah,
not necessarily.
That's definitely not going to
well,
happen.
but-
with your scenario, I'm saying with your
With your
scenario, if Georgia loses and there's no undefeated SEC teams, the 4 teams, one of them's not going to be SEC.
And I understand the 2 of your gentlemen's point. That wasn't really what a question. I was just asking for that little corner in the back of your mind that says, I know they're still better than everybody. Not who you would have to
No,
vote in. But a one-loss Georgia team is still getting the nod against.
Don't say that when he's got an axe in his hand. There.
At least Kylie's down here. No, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
Georgia's still the national championship favorite, I think. Someone's got to beat them.
Somebody's got to beat them, and when we fast forward to next season for the SEC, technically the SEC would have the first and third teams in the national.
Well, you're going to have next year. You're going to have expanded playoffs too.
Correct.
aren't you?
And
Yeah.
everybody's
So it's all going to
in.
be
yeah.
up for grabs.
Yes.
Next year, they're all in.
Okay, so next year is a 12 team, correct?
Yes.
So we're taking 4 teams off the top, and they get a bye, and then
The 4 conference
five
champions.
will play 12, and on and on and on. Out of those 12 teams, who is 4? Will any conference get 4 teams?
It's
you think?
possible.
I mean, I think if anybody were to get 4 teams, it'd probably be I don't want to say it, but it'd probably be the Big Ten.
Well, I mean, looking at this,
you're getting
currently-
It's
you're
gonna be
getting
so
Michigan.
top-heavy.
With the conferences getting so big, yes, I think they could.
Because you're getting Michigan,
I think you could
Ohio
have
State,
4
Penn
from a
State,
couple.
USC, Oregon, Washington.
How about 4 from the Big Ten, 4 from the SEC, and then you go, okay, Pac, you get 1, Big, you get
There is
1.
no pack.
There
There
is
is no pack.
well,
There's only
Pac
2
two.
pack. There's only 2 out of the pack.
Yeah,
so,
but one of those packs are good.
yeah.
One of those packs are good. Now, I'm not talking Pall Malls now. So, who you got in the Heisman nowadays? See anything to make you change your mind?
It's already been decided, I think, hasn't it? It was decided before the season even started.
Well,
you have your
according-
defending champion that he's going to have to screw up to lose it.
Caleb Williams played well, and obviously he had 6 touchdowns against
Oh, just 6 touchdowns.
that all he had?
touchdowns against Colorado. But I think you have to look at Sam Hartman. You have to at least consider Sam Hartman. He's
we have
playing.
to?
Yeah. Yes. You have to. You have to consider Michael Penix at Washington.
Currently, this thing that I'm looking up right now has him as the leader,
Who?
Penix. Which, once again, they're going to play each other head to head, and not that will
What
be.
are you looking at? Ballsack Sports? Or what?
No, it's an ESPN. You got Penix, you got Williams, you got Bo Nix, and I realize we're all waiting for Bo Nix to drop, but at this point in time, he's just leading an undefeated top 10 team.
You
so
know,
I
you
don't
know that the video of that first atomic bomb that was tested, and it's that big mushroom cloud. They're in the middle of the desert, and that big mushroom cloud
Oh, yeah.
goes up. That's Bo Nix, the first tough game they play against.
It's going to be interesting. I fell in love with Penix the last year he was in Indiana.
He's a smooth little lefty, isn't he?
He is a smooth little lefty, and I
Who
tell you,
who does he remind you of? Being that lefty, that kind of that
not
sneaky
Tua or
lefty.
Young.
Everything that I
No,
hate
I'm
about Indiana
kind of
football.
going back a little bit.
Before Tua and Young,
We're going way back. We're going before. Who does he remind you of a little bit?
He reminds me of everything that
The
I hate about
crafty
Indiana
lefty.
football.
Kenny Stabler.
Kenny the Snake Stabler. No. There's some similarities there. Absolutely.
Without all the facial hair, though.
And no Bear Bryant or any of that other good stuff. But no. He's putting up great numbers. I don't blame any of these kids for leaving these juggernaut conferences and all going, hey, I'll take a Pac-10 team. They got horrible defenses.
Yeah.
I'm going to put up
some
great
big
numbers. I'm
numbers.
going to get drafted.
So where does Travis Hunter stand in this? Because obviously he's missed 2 games.
He's not relevant this year.
He's missed 2. He's guaranteed to miss this 3rd game, correct?
Let the hype begin for next year.
Which means he's not even in the
No,
conversation.
he let the hype begin for next year.
To be a Heisman Trophy winner, I think you might be able to miss a game.
You gotta play.
but probably not more than 1 game. But clearly, and we've talked a little bit amongst ourselves. Do you think Hunter will keep playing both sides? Do you think he should?
That's a good question. That's up to him and Coach Prime. I think he's under the guidance of Coach Prime.
Coach Prime.
And he's so far Deion hasn't made too many mistakes. So
No, not at all.
What do you think? What do you think he in the pros? What do you think he comes out? Or
He's a corner. He's not a wide
Yeah,
receiver.
I think so too.
And I think
he's a
the
dominant corner.
And I think before you run him into the ground trying to prove that he could play the other position, I think you get him the heck out of there, because we talk about it all the time, especially with like a running back from Alabama. And it's like, well, you had 700 carries in college. Well, that just shrunk your professional career down.
Yeah.
That's what's
I think
happening to
Deion's,
his.
they're going to
by
be
him.
smart. They're going to be smart about it, I think. And he's a potential dominant cornerback in the pros. So.
Oh yeah, no, he has the potential to definitely dominate, and that's why he's got Deion telling him things right now.
Yep, exactly. Right now, he's telling him something.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, who you got as your national champion? Oh, we'll say championship. Who are the 2 teams meeting to take it all right now? Top 2, Adam. Is Michigan beating
No.
Captain Khaki again Captain Khaki winning again this year?
No. I don't really like the way Michigan looks. I don't really like the way Ohio State looks. I'm gonna throw a flyer out there, and I'll say Quinn Ewers in Texas versus Michael Penix in Washington.
Wow.
Boy, I tell you, there's a lot of big-time sponsors out there who paid a lot of money for this game. We were going, oh, please, God, don't let ATI be right. Although with Texas, the sponsors would be okay with that part.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
I don't even know at this point. I mean, it is
Very-
too early.
very tough to say.
And usually the last few weeks of the year, there's a bunch of crazy things that happen. So
Always.
Yeah.
You look at it, it's like, well, with 3 weeks to go, you'd have to have these 6 teams lose,
And it
you'll have to
never
do this.
pans out that way.
But it almost always, it's like on the next game, 3 of those teams lost. So like, holy crap! I'm still leaning Georgia, but
let me know when somebody beats Georgia.
Who's your number 2 team?
it's tough. I have a really hard time picking you a number 2 team right now. It sure as heck isn't Penn State.
No.
Ohio State, Michigan. Florida State proved that they're pretty viable. Although I'm not so certain somehow Clemson doesn't end up backdooring this thing. Does the ACC have a game this year? Championship game?
Yes.
So
What about Miami? Undefeated Miami?
I could see a screwed up Clemson team just
we don't want that.
blowing up things where, man, for us to make it, Clemson's going to have to beat everybody. It could happen. I don't know.
Commercial.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's go to Kennesaw Express Lube. There are a lot of places to get your oil changed in Kennesaw, but if you're looking for a personal experience, then stop in at Castrol Express Lube or Lost Mountain Express Lube. We'll always do our best to get you in and out quickly, safely, and without a whole lot of fuss. We're a true owner-operated business, and you'll find Brian under a car or hood at one of the shops. We offer experienced, knowledgeable technicians and the latest computer software to help you maintain your new car warranty and keep your pride and joy running for the next 100,000 miles. We proudly offer Castrol products. And thank you to Kennesaw Express Lube for your sponsorship. The NFL.
So the Falcons.
The Falcons. I'm gonna actually get this one. You know, I'm doing all the paperwork. I'm gonna have that trademarked. Falcons. I don't know.
Was there a more boring game than that London game than?
Or a way for me to not wake up and be in a bad mood for the rest of the day.
Bijan got me like 21
I heard you're always in a
points.
bad mood on Sundays anyway.
You know. How about we start playing in Tokyo so that the game's on at midnight, and if I don't like what I'm seeing, I can just go to bed. I don't have to live my life for that next.
Bijan got me like 21 points. It was fantastic.
And it was effortless.
Yeah.
They could have got him the ball another 7-8 times easily, and 2, you know, he is the real deal. But is he one of the only real deals on that team?
Desmond Ridder is bad.
Ooh, how bad is he?
We
need a quarterback.
He's so bad. Ray
Who's the
Charles would
backup?
throw less picks than Desmond Ridder.
Our backup is Taylor Heineke.
Put in Heineke.
And I understand
Play Heineke.
this is Heineke's 4th year out of 5 years in the NFL. He played for one team, I think Carolina, and then Houston, and then 3 years in Washington. And I realize he doesn't have all the attributes, or he wouldn't be on his 4th team in 5 years. That being said,
He took Washington to the playoffs.
he's got to hit open wide receivers better than what I'm currently watching, because what I'm watching, you know, I see Bijan do what he does, and then I think, now if I fake it to him, isn't Pitts running wide open down the seam? He can't find anything.
Well,
though.
Pitts is running wide open down the seam, but Ritter's going to throw it 30 yards the other way right to the Jacksonville safety.
Or throw a 3-yard pass to a covered guy because he only likes to throw it 9 feet.
Yes.
It's bad.
There's been some bad quarterbacking this year.
There has.
I know
and-
there's not 30 some quarterbacks to fill out all the rosters.
Absolutely.
But there's it's been some of that low end quarterback has been exceptionally bad.
Well, you know, everybody's looking for, everybody wants to be a baller on a budget and have where'd you get your quarterback? Man, I got mine in the 6th round. I'm paying him nothing. No,
C.J.
we're doing all
Stroud
this.
sure looks pretty good, doesn't he?
He does.
CJ's only
He
behind
does.
Cam Newton for greatest 4 games to start your NFL career.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know how many of you remember that season. He was doing some crazy things when he first got to the league. So
I read a stat that he's one of 6 quarterbacks to average 300 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in his first 4 games. The other ones are like Joe Namath and Drew Brees and Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady.
yeah.
He's in some good company.
No,
he's going to
he's-
have a rough patch at some
He
point.
will.
Absolutely,
He will.
because once again, that's not a great team.
No.
No, but they play hard. If you watch that team play,
Well, that's that new coach. That's what's his name,
D'Amico.
Ryans.
If there's 2 teams
I like him.
that may not be the most talented teams, but if you watch them, they are playing hard. And one is the Texans, and the other is those Arizona Cardinals.
Those Arizona Cardinals, I swear,
don't know how they're doing
when
it.
they named Josh Dobbs the starter, it was like, wow, they're already in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
Yeah, they're tanking.
But they had leads in those first 2 games, won it in the third, but
Those guys are playing hard. They didn't play hard for that last coach.
No,
but they are
Kings-
this year.
was that Kingsbury?
Yeah. They are this year.
But I think the most surprising division of the year has to be the AFC South. I mean, we thought it was going to be a cakewalk.
I thought it was going to be
for-
the worst division
for
in football.
Jacksonville, and you've got C.J. Stroud. The Texans are 2-2, and Anthony Richardson is playing out of his mind.
I think
mean, it's-
Jacksonville will be on top when that thing
I'm
sorts
sure
out.
Jacksonville
I mean,
will still be on top.
I
But
like their coaching. I like Trevor.
Yeah.
Their defense is improving, I think. So
yeah, the Jacksonville's still going to be on top, but that division is fantastic.
But that division, every team is 2-2, so that's kind of interesting in itself. And in point differential, 2 of the teams are -2 and one's +2. So I mean, they're all basically we give up as many as we score, and but it's been entertaining, and nobody saw that 0-2 Houston team turning into slapping the Jags and then the Steelers around.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
So I want to see them slapping the Jags. That's
And if the Colts get back Jonathan Taylor, if he decides he doesn't want to be traded,
So they said today,
he's back at practice, I think.
Yeah, they said he would be back today, and they basically said, they're throwing him in.
if you run the read option with Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor, they're going to win a lot of football games.
No, absolutely. That team could be really good, and so if Jonathan Taylor comes back and you've got those two running everywhere, and Stroud looks pretty good, all of a sudden, Jacksonville's not looking like a lock or a shoe-in or in a lucky position.
No.
Because we didn't even mention King Henry, and he's still around. He's still doing okay.
If Puka Nacua hadn't caught that touch,
Puka Nacua. I love me some Puka Nacua.
if he hadn't caught that touchdown pass in overtime, the Rams blew a 23-point lead. So I think anybody can win that division.
No, I can't argue that one. I can't argue that one. That's a crazy one. So what about those Cowboys? So you dominate every team from the Meadowlands.
Uh-huh.
I notice I didn't say the other part. And then what? And then as horrible as you could possibly be. And now what? Right back to where we were?
Missing. Trayvon Diggs got hurt on Thursday, so we had already installed the game plan. We had to play the game plan without one of the best, not the best, one of the best cover corners in the NFL. But then, and half our offensive line was out that week as well. But then, we come back, our offensive line is back and healthy. And I believe Bill Belichick pulled Mac Jones before the end of the third quarter.
That game was over.
How bad does Mac Jones look? And I realize he has not a lot of options up there. Whenever you look at places you'd like to be if you could spin a football really well, that would not be on the tops of anybody's list.
That game was over. And
28-3 at halftime, and it wasn't even that close, right?
No.
With the Cowboys, it's all about their defense, I think. If they can be dominant on defense, they are going to be in every game.
Yeah.
I saw an interesting stat. Pollard has had 27 red zone carries this year, and he had 23 all of last year.
They have an interesting game this weekend.
They do.
Yes.
I think it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah.
Didn't make Chuck's games of the week, but
I don't know how that.
No, it did. It did.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
It's the first game.
What do you know?
Which NFL quarterback is on the hot seat? I know I have my pick.
Oh, give me yours while I think about it.
My pick's going to be Jimmy G.
Are you saying that because his backup went to Purdue?
Partially.
Okay.
Partially, but
At least we'll get that out there before you give us your reasoning.
I'm a little biased. But you also have to consider that, Aiden O'Connell led that comeback. He did. He threw the ball down the field. He completed great passes to Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers and Hunter Renfrow and all of the tight ends and everything. He led that comeback by himself, and with help from the defense. And if Josh McDaniels or whatever his name is hadn't called that stupid play on 1st and goal from the 3 and just run it with Josh Jacobs like he should have, that game could have easily gone to overtime.
You could have.
And I watched a video maybe yesterday or the day before. They were dissecting the game, and they were saying that the problem that the Raiders had is they were leaving Khalil Mack one-on-one, and that's why he had six sacks
in a game. Khalil Mack.
Yeah, whenever you leave Khalil Mack one-on-one, it's probably not going to end well.
6 sacks. That's just.
Well, and he had him early. It's almost a shame the guy only finished with 6. But you look at something like that, and you're like, clearly there's more than just a bad mismatch here.
A bad scheme of some sort.
A horrible scheme on your part to try to defend, because after my 4th sack, I would like to think that you were going to come up with something new.
Are you going to double team the guy at some point?
Mac's not getting the next one. This guy might get the next one, but not Mac. But nope, not to happen. That was a garbage fire. So, what did you guys learn about the Dolphins game? Are the Dolphins back down to earth, or are those two of the best teams? Clearly,
I read a stat the other day. I read a lot of stats.
That's good.
I read a stat the other day that teams are 1-6 the week after they score 60+ points.
I believe that. I think
There's always a letdown.
Yeah, I think it happens during games. I think a lot of times get an early touchdown, everybody's feeling a little confident, getting a little cocky with themselves, and stuff goes sideways and downhill real quick.
But I mean, Devon Achane he's turning into a star.
He's looking really good. He's looking really, really good. But I don't know. I don't know what to take from it completely. But I had Buffalo. I thought Buffalo would take care of business. They did. But I'm not dropping the Dolphins off the cliff or anything after that loss.
No.
And then let me ask you this: currently, Christian McCaffrey, after 4 games, has 459 yards rushing. Forget about all the passes the guy catches. He's on the verge of possibly rushing for 2,000 yards. At this current pace, he will get 2,000 yards. So my question for you is, A, could he? And B, if he does, how many would that mean that he has 3,000 yards because he also received 1,000?
Would he be the first NFL player?
Oh,
to
yeah.
have-
Nobody's ever come near 3.
Yeah.
3 has never even been a
No.
conversation.
Check in with me in week 8 when he gets injured. 'Cause that's been the story for Christian McCaffrey.
And you're absolutely right.
When you use a guy that much, and he's been fragile some of his career. I think when you're San Francisco, you need to be looking towards the end of the year and the playoffs, and his load will be reduced. What in the NBA? What do they call it? Load management.
Yes,
That's correct.
Yes. Speaking of the 49ers, I had an interesting conversation with one of my friends about the top 5 quarterbacks. Is Brock Purdy a top 5 quarterback right now?
He can't be for me because I just get so wrapped up in the college polls in the summer and the fact that you were drafted last. If you were drafted last, you can't be that good. But the guy is that
Dude
good.
is so efficient.
And if he played for any other team, we might see some of these inadequacies.
He is running that Kyle
but
Shanahan offense.
having McCaffrey behind him,
Yeah.
he's unbelievable.
And he's got a couple receivers that are dangerous. He's got a tight end that is a nut up the middle, and
he's got a defense that just, every time if he screws up, the defense goes, we got you. Don't worry about that one.
Well, he knows how to use his tools around him.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
he's
you would
much
think
like
a quarterback like him coming in young,
Brady in that.
not proven, you would think the team would maybe be a little skeptical or what. I give that team credit. I don't know why they bought into him
did.
from day one, and they said, "We got your back. Get out there and do your thing," and that relaxed him, I think. And I'm happy because he went to where I went to college. So
There you go.
I'm a big Brock Purdy. I have a Brock and Roll T-shirt even from when he was
Rock
in
and roll,
college.
baby. No, I just look at it. If you have Devontae, you have to throw Devontae the ball 18 times, or Devontae's going to scream. And all these teams. That's the one team where everybody seems
Nobody
like
cares.
I'm okay. Give it to me, however much. We'll catch it up the next game.
Because they have one thing on their mind:
Win,
a
Winning the
ring.
Super Bowl.
A ring.
Which, going back to your thought process, when I'll talk to you in week 8 about McCaffrey, I'll call you in the 3rd quarter of that Super Bowl so we can decide how bad the Shanahan meltdown will be.
Hey, it's possible.
That keeps him from getting another one. All right, let's do our last commercial, and then we'll get into our picks. All right, I see that axe going up next to me.
I'm
getting,
very excited.
I'm getting a little nervous all of a sudden. Tired of going to the same old places for the same old thing? American Axes has your solution. Whether you're looking for something new to do before or after the game, bachelor or bachelorette party, or a work outing that will have them talking about the other side of you for years to come, American Axes, with their 3 Atlanta in Marietta, Tucker, and now in downtown at the Works, they've got your answer to let's do something different. look us up at American Access or give us a call at 678-763-3635 to schedule your next adventure. I actually drove by the works the other day. I was,
did?
I was in Atlanta, and I didn't know where I was. I just kind of riding around, and all of a sudden I looked
you
over.
went,
I'm like,
the
I'm like,
works.
I'm like, hey, the works. I talk about them weekly. So thank you again to American Access for your sponsorship. We look forward to having a group team building outing soon. I think
We
it could
are?
be. Why not? And we're better to have it at
I can
at an axe
throw
throwing
some
place.
axes. I can throw some axes.
Just make sure you pronounce that right. Just saying.
I said axes.
I know. I heard you. I didn't ask you to tell me again. Oh, and
Moving on.
it is
It is
official.
final. The Rangers did.
The Rays
did
are
beat the Rams.
13-0 and get to stay at home. But that's what happens. You're not supposed to get as hot as you can be in April.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Okay, I'm ready to chop. Let's get to some picks.
All right, so let's start in college. The Red River rivalry. Easy for
Or
me to
the
say.
Red River rivalry.
It's one of my bucket list games. If I had a top 5 bucket list games, it would be this one. This one is at the Texas State Fair, so you get to go to the Texas State Fair. You get to go see the Red River Shootout. Beautiful time. I'm confused by this game, but I'm actually going to change my pick right now. God, everybody's in love with Texas, except for one person. Anybody from Oklahoma. I'll take the Sooners.
Yeah.
I was thinking something along those lines. Dylan Gabriel has played well the last couple weeks. They beat Iowa State by 30. But Quinn Ewers has played so well this year. Donnie Mitchell, they've
Is
got
it
a
the
really
haircut?
good running back, maybe.
Because, you used to have that mullet going everywhere. Now it's just
Yeah,
a little buzz.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pick Texas.
Are you giving the axe to Texas?
No, I'm just picking Texas.
You're picking.
I'm giving I will give the axe to Oklahoma.
There you go. And here, we'll do this. That'll be your new thing. There you
It's
go.
like a gavel.
There you go. How about you, Rick?
I like Texas and give the points.
Texas in the points?
Yeah, I think pretty straightforward. And Texas has impressed me a little bit so far this year.
And Texas has impressed me. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But everybody's talking about Texas. Nobody's talking about Oklahoma. And Oklahoma's still undefeated and ready to make the same move. And
Yeah.
this is one of those games. It is the same as Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State. Who knows? Who knows what could happen? Maryland getting 19.5 versus the Ohio State University.
Maryland is 0-6 all time against Ohio State.
They've only played them 6 times since they left the ACC.
Yes, they've only played them 6 times. They're 0-6 all time. Tulia has looked okay this year. They didn't play well against Charlotte. Kyle McCord also hasn't looked great this year. So I'm giving the axe to the Terrapins.
Ohio State's covering. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
That's not enough points, I don't think, in Ohio State.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. If this was 22.5 or something like that, maybe I have to rethink something. But I'll take Ohio State in less than 3 touchdowns. Maryland's not good, and I'm not in love with Ohio State by any stretch, but they seem to win.
Yeah.
Bama Lama versus the ghost of Johnny Football.
This is going to be a really good game. It's going to be a test to see how good Alabama actually is.
Is this the game where we'll find out that answer?
I think it will be. This is kind of going to, in my opinion, this is the game that's kind of going to decide the West.
Okay.
Because if Texas A&M goes on to win, they're undefeated. Their only loss is to Miami. Miami's also undefeated.
Starts to make that one loss look really good.
Yes. So I don't really want to do this, but I'm going to give the axe to the Tide.
Is this our version of Lee Corso
Give
and,
me-
and the headwear?
give me
hit him
Texas
with the
A&M.
It's pretty
A&M.
close. Ever since we got American Axes as our new sponsor, we just decided we're going to give the axe to whatever team we don't like.
Down go the
Or at least
Tide.
one person will do
Yeah.
that.
All right.
Down
I
go the
like
Tide.
Alabama. I think Alabama thinks they have something to prove, and just when you count them out, they come up. They got a little surprise for you. And Texas A&M has blown games in the past, and They're a little unpredictable. It's in College Station. It's going to be interesting. Is that the CBS? Is that a CBS 3:30
Probably.
game?
It probably is,
Brad
yeah.
Nessler and is that that
Oh,
one?
Nelly.
Gary
Keith
Danielson.
Jackson's coming back.
Keith's coming on back for this one.
I like Alabama.
Yeah, I like Bama too. There's something about I can't help but think that, we were talking about quarterbacks on the hot seat earlier. Is anybody in any sport more out of a hot seat than Jimbo? Jimbo was supposed to go
Always.
undefeated 2 years ago and win the national championship. And, man, he's been on a roller coaster going the wrong way.
Coach makes a big paycheck too, doesn't he?
Huge paycheck. And, from what I've been told in my limited knowledge base.
And I heard he's not a big tipper either. So
Which is always crazy.
Yeah, I know.
The super rich people, they can just stuff it in their mattress, I guess, at night. But, everybody's always told me that Texas or Texas A&M can cut any check they want.
Oil money.
We got so much money, so it's going to be interesting to see if they cut that check this year, because with Texas and Oklahoma coming to the conference, they don't want to start off.
it's not getting any easier.
No, it's not. It's not.
This is kind of an irrelevant point, but I mean, Nebraska cut the check last year.
That was a much
what's his
smaller
face?
check.
That was a small.
Much
We're
smaller
talking about oil money here.
But no. But my point was that Scott Frost is, I believe his contract went from like $20 million on September 1st, and then October 1st. If they had cut him, it would have only been like 10.5, and they got rid of him before October 1st. So
Nebraska doesn't have oil money, but
No,
they
don't.
They have Warren Buffett money though.
yes,
Big old pile of Warren Buffett money. So yeah, I don't know. Texas A&M, they got the one loss against Miami. It was in Miami. Blah blah. I just don't see it. And yes, that is the 3:30 game.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting. I'll take Bama all day. If Bama less than a field goal,
I'll be tuned in for that one actually.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I think that's a must see. That's a must see game of the week.
The world is praying that's better than London football from
Oh my
last.
gosh.
What about them surprising? I'm going to say surprising Kentucky Wildcats.
Kentucky's never really surprising. They're always really good at football until they play Georgia, and then they
Or
look
Florida.
terrible. The rest
Usually
of the
they're
year.
horrible by the time they leave the Florida game.
Yeah.
So this is they are on a cloud right now going into this game.
Yes.
I actually like Georgia to win the game.
Maybe not cover.
No, not cover. I like that. 14.5 is dangerous.
Not so fast, my
Uh-oh.
friend.
He's got. Where's the axe?
Not so fast. Georgia didn't look good against Auburn, but Kentucky didn't look good against Eastern Kentucky. I think they only won that game by like 8. So
Is that the Colonels?
yes.
Which-
or the Colonials, or
What
you
city?
know,
What city is that in? Do you know what city that
what
is in?
city Eastern Kentucky
Yes.
is in?
Here's a
I used
quiz
to.
for you.
Frankfurt.
Nope.
I don't.
Richmond, Kentucky.
Richmond. That guy could have told me that. He was there.
Yeah, he could have told me that. Down go the Wildcats.
Down. Wildcats are getting the axe. Going dogs.
And you're giving
Yes.
the points.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going dogs. Kentucky looked great against Florida, but it was Florida, and just not feeling it. I know Georgia has not done what everybody expects a two-time national champion to do, but I think it's coming. So I'll take the dogs.
Go to these NFL games soon.
Oh yeah, here we go. Big game. Dallas and San Francisco. That Dallas Cowboy defense getting 4 points. What do you think about that, ATI?
Down go the Niners. Next question. Next question.
I like the Niners and give the points. That's in San Francisco.
I believe so.
I like the Niners as well. If CeeDee Lamb could wake up, I think the Cowboys could be relevant in games like this. But he just is not showing up.
The one thing the Cowboys have to live with each week also is Mike McCarthy is their
Play caller
yeah,
kind of limits you right off the bat.
and their owner needs another facelift. I
So
think.
a couple of these AFC
Yep.
South teams in Tennessee and Indy. I'm going Indy with the idea that either they're going to have a running quarterback or just a running backfield.
Yes. I really, if Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson are back this week, Indy might beat everybody in this division and just win the whole division. So I got to chop the head off King Henry.
Indy is trending upward. I like Indy.
I do too.
Yeah.
Jacksonville getting 5.5 versus those vaunted Buffalo Bills that just took two and threw them in the waste receptacle.
You know, Jacksonville.
And Tua did fit because he's a little guy.
Jacksonville did look good this week against the Falcons, but
that's not hard.
Falcons
That's kind
are
of
bad.
our thing.
That was where I was going. The Falcons are bad. So, you know, I think I got to go with Buffalo. So I'm chopping the head off the Cheetahs. Or the
Cheetahs.
Jaguars.
It's in Orchard Park. I like Buffalo. I think the weather's going to be okay, but I like Buffalo.
Yeah, it's very nice for Jacksonville and Miami to go to Orchard Park in back-to-back weeks while it's still comfortable outside. So schedule guy must be from Florida. I'm taking the Bills in that one as well. Jacksonville did look good, but unfortunately it was against those Falcons. And then to wrap it up, those Texans, those.
I like the direction they're going. I like
the Texans.
Actually, this is actually my pick of the week. I think I like the Texans in this game, getting points, and playing in the dome. I think they like that fast track. They play in a dome.
Correct.
I like C.J. Stroud throwing that ball all over the field.
C.J. Stroud has looked good this year. Desmond Ridder has not. Down with the Falcons.
He is really liking that.
He's getting
I'm going
an arm injury there.
I'm going Houston as well. You know, normally I just pick the Falcons and I pick them every week, but I don't want to keep losing games just because I'm rooting for them. I will be rooting for them, but I'm with you guys. There's no great home field advantage because in Atlanta, so they don't have to worry about noise when you come to our dome. It's a fast track that they're used to, and right now there's only one of those two teams who have a quarterback who can throw the ball.
Did the over/under for C.J. Stroud for a yardage over 300 and
Absolutely.
or over/under 3 touchdowns? What do you think?
I think
under 3 touchdowns,
I'd say
over 300.
Yeah, I think 2 touchdowns over 300 yards. It really comes down to Pierce on that team, but Pierce just doesn't look very good, so I think they're going to keep putting it in Stroud's hands.
That was fun.
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming and joining us. Rick, ATI, everybody, we can all wave to Chuck. We'll see Chuck again next week. And
Get well, Chuck.
Yeah, and if you don't know your numbers, go get your numbers checked and be a big boy and take care of business. Till next week, we'll see you on Three Guys Who Love Sports.
Sip.
Thanks.
Under the knife. You went back to the doctor. No, they didn't whittle away. They put a camera in there to look at it because he says I'm still going every hour, and I don't want to go every hour.
Even during the nighttime? Oh, that's the worst.